This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
7 years ago, a judge sent him to prison, but today a Vine alert made us aware a man who killed a Pike County deputy in a crash is now out. David Childers was serving a 20-year sentence, but he was granted parole. WYMT's Connor James talked to the late deputy's wife, who learned of Childers' early release in an email. Connor?
Steve, in January 7 years ago, police say Childers drove his SUV while under the influence of cocaine and opiates. James Thacker, a deputy with the Pike County Sheriff's Office, died after Childers crashed into his car head-on. Now, Childers pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter and being a persistent felony offender in relation to that crash. The charge was amended from first-degree manslaughter. Deputy Thacker worked for the Pike County Sheriff's Department for a year following his tenure as a constable. Today, we spoke with Thacker's widow about Childers being granted parole.
I hope that the past almost 8 years that he's been in prison, that it has done some good, and that when he comes back to Pike County, that the reminders there of James will be enough to keep him from doing this again to another family.
Now, Steve, the parole board granted Childers release during a hearing in late November. That group proposed that he be released by the first of the year, which is about 2 years before his expected release date of 2022.
All right, Connor, thank you. A grand jury will hear the case of a Knox County woman charged with kidnapping. Police say they found a teen at Darlene Elliott's house late last month. The boy went missing days before. They believe she picked him up and then took him to her home. The grand jury will decide whether or not to indict her. Tomorrow, a Knox County man accused of running off with a child and hiding in the rain will appear in court. We first told you about Christopher Stute's arrest last night. He is set to enter a plea in the morning. Deputies say he ran from a home with the child following a domestic dispute. Someone found the toddler alone in the woods more than 1 hour later. Stutes faces a host of charges. Prosecutors called him the trigger man. Now, due to a pardon by former Governor Matt Bevin, Patrick Baker will walk free. In 2014, Baker, along with 4 others, busted into the Knox County home of Donald Mills. He was shot dead. In 2017, a jury convicted him. A judge sentenced Baker to 19 years for reckless homicide. 2 years later, he's a free man. In an interview with WYMT's Hannah Reynolds, family members sounded off on Bevin's decision.
This morning was supposed to be a special one for Melinda Mills.
You know, like, it's at Christmas time. And I said, then it's your birthday, you find out about 5 days. And I'm like...
Her phone rang off the hook all day, but not for birthday wishes. She found out 5 years of her family's agony is in vain.
It took us 4 years to get everything completely finished with all the defendants in the case, to close the case out.
Former Governor Matt Bevin pardoned Patrick Baker, the man dubbed as the trigger man, out of 5 people that were convicted in relation to the death of her brother Donnie.
My exact words for Matt Bevin, I know he's out of office, but he can rot in hell. That's exactly how we feel about him.
What led to the pardon? Bevin's reasoning? In an executive order, he says he was, quote, not convinced that the evidence has proven the involvement of Patrick Baker as murder, end quote. If you ask the family.
Because he done it, because he's mad, because he got voted out of office.
In Knox County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
In that executive order, Bevin also said he believed Baker's drug usage and people he associated with is what ultimately led to his conviction. Now, Daniel Grubb, another man convicted in a separate Knox County murder, also received a pardon. A jury convicted him in 2010 of murder and tampering with evidence. Investigators say he killed Jeremy Johnson a year earlier and buried the body. Bevin said in part of that executive order, quote, no greater degree of justice or rehabilitation will be gained by extending Daniel Grubb's time in prison. A woman will also get out of prison early. Bevin commuted the sentence of Cathy Ellen Williams to time served. 14 years ago, she started serving a life sentence for murder. A jury convicted her in the 2004 murder of 19-year-old Forrester Cottle in Letcher County. Williams is now 62 years old. It is the discovery that many neighbors were not hoping for. Police now confirm a body was found inside a Pulaski County home that was destroyed in a fire. Kentucky State Police troopers spent a good part of the day investigating where the fire happened, but there's no word if a crime was committed. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has learned more about the victim.
Early Wednesday morning, and neighbors quickly knew something was happening across the street.
My husband woke me up and he said, I think Sam's house is on fire.
Firefighters arrived just after 2 o'clock to discover a fire that had already consumed most of the house. Police were called after social media reports of a body found in the home before that was confirmed. And after a search warrant was issued, the body of 89-year-old Samuel Watson was discovered.
Sam's always been a good fella. He actually bought a vehicle off my parents. I mean, lately he's not had a car. I know he's had a hard time getting around.
There is no word on what caused the fire, and Watson's cause and manner of death are under investigation as well. But it is unusual. Neighbors tell us that while the house was burning, they did notice a car pull into the driveway, stay just a moment, and then suddenly leave. Several dogs were also found in the fire.
Yeah, he had 17 dogs at one time. I don't know how many he's got because he's had them in the house and everything. But, you know, I don't know how many he's got now, but there's, like I said, there was 2 running around in the garage this morning. I had to show them away. They had soot on their face and everything.
Neighbors say that it's sad knowing all that was lost inside this home. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The fire also knocked out some utility services to the area. Those crews had to wait until the police investigation was over to restore service.
Here at the WYMT Food City Mountain Classic. Hazard and Phelps boys just tipped off really moments ago, and tonight, glad I'm in a gym. It's a lot warmer in here than it is out there. It's been a pretty chilly night. Let's go ahead and take you up into that Whitesburg camera. Clear, cool night. It's looking a lot better than it did at this time yesterday. Maybe a little bit of snow there on the rooftop. Most of it, though, has melted. Looking at those temperatures, mid to upper 30s. Definitely a chilly night if you are headed out, but at least we're not having to deal with that snow like we did last night. Looking at that clean sweep on satellite and radar, have seen that sunshine all day. Temperatures dropping into about those low to mid 20s tonight. Clear, cool, and a little bit frosty as you're waking up on your Thursday. Thursday, though, looking a lot better. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Paige, thank you. Well, Bell County got quite a bit of snow last night, especially at the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park. Rangers say yesterday evening crews began clearing the roadways and kept watching for dangerous spots. Just a beautiful scene in many locations, as you can see there today, though. Now, one of the most popular things for some to do on snow days is to get pictures from up the Pinnacle overlook. Since a lot of the roads up to the Pinnacle are shaded and will not melt for a while, the roads were closed earlier today. However, the walking trails up to it were still open.
And just use caution. Again, there might be some slippery areas, and watch your footing. Just always use common sense.
Ranger Carroll says even though the Pinnacle Road is closed, there's plenty of snow to sled on at the Visitor Center. And parts of Letcher, Harlan, and Pike counties also saw a couple inches of snow or even more, especially in the higher elevations. The president of Eastern Kentucky University has announced his resignation. President Michael Benson made that announcement in a letter sent to employees this morning. Benson will stay on as an advisor to the Board of Regents through the transition for the next university president. The move is effective January 6th.
As we head into tonight, we'll still be dealing with those cooler temperatures, but by tomorrow, looking a lot better. I have details on that coming up in just a little bit.
But first, the judge makes a ruling as members of Kentucky's Board of Education fight being replaced. The new details happening in the last hour.